Lifting for me is one of the most valuable tools that you can have in your arsenal, purely because it is one of the things that helps bring the gym to athletic performance. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people are missing in their programs, or if they're doing it incorrectly. So for me, it's one of those things where it's never going to beat sprinting, it's never going to beat the plyos that we just did, but it's going to be that bridge of that slightly faster, but not as fast, but faster than strength training. So this is going to be something that's going to merge a lot of those athletic qualities together, and I feel we'll get a lot out of it. Now, a lot of people argue over weightlifting versus conventional jumps with a trap bar, throws, things like that. And while each have their place, I believe this builds the ability to yeet and jump really high, whereas the other one is an expression of how high you can jump and how far you can throw. Both have utility, like I said, but the benefits that this has goes far beyond power expression. It looks at our ability to drop our center of mass. When someone's running at you head on for a tackle, to drop and get into those positions. This is something that I believe Olympic lifting trains really, really well. The other thing is collisions. Being able to do that in the gym, because you do it on the rugby pitch as a absorbing of force, and you can do that from a power position, you can do that from a full squat position, you can vary where you're absorbing that force from, which makes it super, super valuable. So that for me is why we're going to run through this. Now, there's two things that we look at when it comes to weightlifting. I call it the software and the hardware. I think I spoke to you about this in one of our calls, where the software is the skill of weightlifting. It's the ability to clean, it's the ability to snatch. But then we've also got the hardware. The hardware is the underlying physical capacity that we have to express strength, speed, power. Both are very, very valuable for athletes. Now, the issue is hardware without software means that you've got this big V8 and is sticking it in a Mini Cooper. It's just going to blow it up because you cannot physically contain the power that you've got. This is most of the people here because you spent the time getting strong. You spent the time doing the work with that barbell, but trying to then put that into a skill where you're going to move really fast with high loads, with high precision, is where we start to miss that piece. So today, we're going to be running through this framework, which is going to teach us the software of lifting, of how to move really well. The goal isn't to make you the most proficient weightlifter today. The goal is to get you proficient to a point where you can display the strength that you have into actual movement in the gym, that you can progress, load, and get to a point where you can use as a very, very valuable tool in your training toolbox to make sure that you are becoming stronger, faster, more powerful. Boom. That is weightlifting in a nutshell. So what we are going to do right now, we are going to partner up, partner A, partner B, and you're going to work in this pair. I know what we're like when we get a barbell in hands, especially in this group. We tend to just not take any rest period until you're at your 1 rep max and you're like, best have a rest. So we're going to build in some rest and we're going to go through this framework, okay? And we'll walk through step by step what that looks like. I don't need to worry about it now. So partner up, girls go into 3, may as well, because there's 3 of you. And then we've got 2, 4, 6. Look at that, perfect. So girls in 3. Grab a barbell, find somewhere there. You can grab the pink bar. Lads, grab a bar in your pair, find some room on the turf. What we're gonna do is we're gonna work through this progression. Now this progression is something that I have started to come up with based on a lot of the people that I've watched, and it's gonna take a top-down approach. The reason why we do that with weightlifting, if you can't get one position right, the next position is gonna be limited because of the fact that you can't find the one that you need to follow after that. So we're gonna start to struggle with this, but we're gonna build through in a systematic way. So in your partners or your trio, first person up to the bar, have a little watch of me. What we're gonna be doing is a hang muscle clean. So we're gonna take a slight bend in the knees, we're gonna lean all the way over the bar. So our shoulders are over the bar. And then from there, we're just gonna stand tall and get that bar into our front rack position. We're then gonna come back down, repeat the process. It's gonna be 3 reps. The goal here is to make sure that we're nice and active through this portion. I don't want us to get that bar coming away. I want us to think about taking our t-shirt off with the bar as we stand tall. So we're just gonna go through 5 reps of that, and I'll come around and get some coaching throughout this. So it's there to the shoulders. Let's go. Relax that into the fingertips as we stand up, okay? So there, into that fingertips. Hold this end position for me as we come up. Hold that there, hold that there. So let that bar, that's where we want to be. Yeah. So we want to get into that front squat position, okay? Pop the bar down. Nice. So, Imogen, have a little watch of this. I know Lulu's gonna fucking smash this. So it's from there. See that position? Elbows up. The one thing that I like to say throughout this is elbows to the door, not the floor. If they're pointing to the floor, that bar is gonna be in your wrist, you're gonna be loading that wrist. So essentially what we wanna try and do is as we come up, that muscle clean, into that front squat position. Take your hands away from the bar in a zombie position. See how that bar stays put? That's one of the metrics. If you can get to that point where you take your hands away, you've got the bar in the right place. Perfect. So we're just gonna give a little bit of what I said there. So Lulu, come out to the front. Prime example of this now. So as we come up, there's two things that I want us to focus on. So this start position, come up a little bit higher, legs a little bit straighter, chest over. So that's a perfect position. A lot of us are skipping a step and we're bending our knees straight away. We want to get to the point where we're comfortable being over that bar, but not in that full hang position yet. Then as we clean up, we keep that bar close and see how that bar is able to sit across the collarbones. Take your hands away. Should be able to stay put when you're in that front rack position. If not, it means that you're holding too much of the weight in your hands, not that front rack position. So make that the emphasis. We're gonna do 5 more now. Perfect, you can pop that down. What we're gonna look at, 2 things. Number 1, a small little hinge over as opposed to a big bend at the knee. So it's that hinge over there. You don't have to take your hands away, but do a little bit of a test. Where am I feeling a lot of this weight? If it's in my hands, the answer is get it closer towards the neck and keep those elbows up higher, okay? Let's go, 5 more reps. We wanna try and learn how to drop as well. So we're just gonna find our pull-in stance, which should be our deadlift stance. We're then gonna get to that position where we've just found that slight little bend. Then we're gonna drop into a full squat. We're gonna stand tall, there, drop into that full squat. So we're just gonna do 10 reps of this at your own pace. What I would say is I don't want you rushing in and out of these. If you need to spend a little bit more time in that bottom position because it's dusty like mine, spend some time down there. But it's just get in there, into that position, stand tall, feet come back. 10 reps for me, let's go. Good, nice, Dean. Real good, real good. We're just gonna ramp the intensity of that up slightly before we ask you all to get your own bars. The only difference on this one is I want you to think about coming up onto your toes. So we're getting even more height on this. The difference being, as we catch, we jump back out. This way, we're not just sinking into a bottom position and just holding. We're getting to a point where we can actively get out of it nice and quick, okay? So we're just gonna do 5 reps of this one. Let's go. Good. Nice, Lloyd. Real good. Real good. Perfect. So once we've done that, everyone go grab their own bar. We'll set up in 2 rows. So we'll have a row there and a row over this way. So the next thing that we're gonna do is put those 2 exercises together. That hang muscle clean and then that drop catch just had a baby and they produce the next exercise that we're gonna be looking at. So we're exactly the same grip on that bar, that same position of being over. I'm gonna jump and catch. Where we're here, that bar staying nice and tight into that bottom position, okay? Try and stay connected to the bar. So the reason why we've done this drill before is to get used to placing that bar where you want in that front squat position rather than pulling and praying, okay? So we're just gonna go in, we're gonna do 3 reps each. Let's go. Nice, Lloyd. Yeah, just getting back into that front squat a little bit more. So rather than exactly as you just did then, come over the bar a little bit more, jump and catch into that bottom, all the way. Good, real good, and relax there. So we're gonna go through 1 more of those, where the goal of this is to make sure that we try and drop and catch in that bottom of the front squat. I'm a very, very poor example of this because my mobility is dog shit. My front squat looks the same as my power clean, so it's really hard for me to demonstrate. But what we wanna look at is, as we're in this position, we keep that bar tight and we land nice and low, hopefully lower than that. But the reason why we do that is, yes, you need to generate more force to catch it higher, but a lot of people lose that skill of catching in the bottom position. If we spend the time drilling how to get to the bottom of that front squat with load, we're gonna drill a better movement pattern overall, and we're then gonna be able to start to push our cleans further as the load gets heavier. A lot of people skip this step, they just jump straight to power cleans because it's easier, and while we can do that, the goal of this is to build that software and drop in as low as we can. So we're gonna do 3 more reps of that. We're gonna get into that bottom position, and we're gonna keep things going. Let's go, Lulu. Let's go. Big tech, they're looking fucking class, brother. One thing that I want you to think about, so as we come down into that hang position again, bend your knees a little bit more. Bit more. There, squeeze that part and go. Jump from there and get perfect. Good. And if you can't get into that deep squat and you can't get that bar to the front rack, you can't toe clean. If you can't toe clean, you're gonna struggle to hang clean. Every part builds onto the next. So what we're doing now is we're gonna progress this on a little bit. So we're gonna take that slight bend in the knees, that forward torso. We're gonna let that bar come away, jump and catch. Try and think about squeezing that bar, getting a little bit of contact on our thighs, and catching over. This is going to start to stimulate, where as this bar gets away from us, we then need to work hard with our upper body to keep it as close as possible. So we're going to stand tall, slight bend in the knees, hinge over, and go. We're going to do 3 reps of this. Try and catch nice and low for me, Telf. Nice, Lloyd. Real good stuff. Excellent, Steen. Good. Nice. So with this stuff, it is going to feel a little bit weird. A lot of the time, people skip this weird stage. They're like, it feels like shit. I don't really understand it, whatever. It's completely fine. The only thing that's stopping you from progressing is your own ego with that. Like, there is going to be a learning process. People will then say, I shouldn't really need to worry about this because of the learning process. It's too skilled. If you spend the time learning this, you have about 50, 60 different variations that you can pull on to progress in your training, okay? So this is going to be something that if we take the time, we'll start to be able to get a little bit more out of. The next thing that we're going to look at is a low hang clean. So Will, coming out to the front, I'm glad you're here, because we're going to talk through some demos. The only difference with this one is we're not going to go to mid-thigh, we're going to go to below the knee. So as we're in this position, we're going to come down, we're going to hold a little bit lower, knees come forward slightly, hold that position. So essentially, this is where the bar would be if there were plates on the floor. Now, we're just going to take a real slow pull from here, and we're going to pause at this point. What point is this? The one that we've just been drilling. So it's a case of from there then, you're going to jump and catch into that squat position. So full speed, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to come down to the bottom, you're going to hold for a second, slow pull, keeping that bar close, hold, and go. Good. We're trying to drill and blend that hang position that we found with that low hang position that we need to pull from the floor, and it's easy to do that from the top down approach. So we're going to jump up, stand nice and tall, lower down, hold, up, hold, and we're going to wait for my call on each one of those, okay? So we're going to stand tall, hold, down, hold, above the knee, hold, jump, catch. So I just want us to make sure that we got that bar in the right position. If you haven't, I'll come around, I'll whack you with a stick or something just to make sure it's in the right position. So everyone on your feet. So we're going to get that bar into that hip position, up tall. We're then going to lower down to just below the knee. Try and think about keeping that bar nice and close to us. So we're trying to glue that bar. Try and drop your bum down a little bit more. Perfect, that's it there. Then we're going to come up nice and slow, and we're going to hold above the knee. Hold that position, keep that bar in tight, and then we're going to jump and catch. And back down to the floor. Real nice shape. Real nice shape. So what we're looking at that is we're going to find that cadence, we're going to find our rhythm. We're going to do a set of 5 as we go through this, okay? So that, everyone was on point. So we're just going to do a set of 5. So bar in hand, on me again. So down into that position, up to the knee, hold, and go. Good. Back, find that low hang position. Drop that bum down for me, down a little bit more, chest tall. As we're there, up to the knee, hold, jump and catch. Perfect. We're going to go in for down to that hang position. Real nice. Good. Up to the knee and go. We got 2 more, and down to the floor, hold, up to the knee, hold, jump and catch. Good, we'll stop there. We'll count the first rep as a good set. That looked really nice. What I will say now, we are going to be then moving on to something from the floor. So I want you to grab a weight that you're comfortable with, that we can find those shapes. There's 5s down here. I wouldn't recommend anyone chucking more than a 10 on. So you have the option of chucking a 5 and a 10 on, depending on where you're at. Once they're on your bar, we'll run through the next set and we'll build up. That is like the learning part done. Positions drilled, and that's something that a lot of people neglect. They kind of rush to put load on the bar. and they feel like to get the most out of an exercise, they just got to load up as heavy as they can, as often as they can. But essentially, if we can take a step back, we can refine exactly how they move. We can then build a longer term progression pathway to get them in the right positions, to producing the right amounts of force with heavier and heavier loads, and they're not going to be limited later on down the line by their actual technique expression. So something like this is super useful to be able to build in, and that kind of progression framework there starts from hard to easy, easy to hard, and we'll be able to push it on. We're going to do a clean pull plus a touchdown clean. So that first part we're not too worried about. We're just trying to make sure that we find the right shapes. So what we're going to look at, we're going to come to the bar and we're going to try and get set in that position that we just got set in from there. We're still going to take a nice 3 second to get from the floor to above the knee, and we're just going to go into a clean pull, okay? So as we get set and go. From this position now, we're going to slowly lower back down to the floor without letting go of that weight. So as we're there, that's what we call the touchdown, and then we're going to repeat this now and clean. Perfect. So that's going to be 1 rep. We're going to do 2 reps of that, and we'll start to build this in every minute on the minute. So we'll do 2 reps, take a little bit of a rest, we'll come in for the next one. The big thing that I want to see, and it's one of the things that I see a lot of people get wrong that hinders their next bit, I call it pulling like a twat from the floor. Because you're worried about that clean, you just come up to the bar and you go, like the worst deadlift form known to man. Our job is to make sure that we always practice those good habits. We get nice and long into that position. We lower down nice and slow, hold, control, and go. Okay, let's get ready. So we're gonna get started. 3, 2, 1. Nice controlled pull, keeping that bar tight and go. Then come down, tap on the floor and into that clean. Good, and in for the next. Pull plus clean. Go at your own pace on this one. Nice. Fuck it out. For someone that doesn't like cleans, you move really well. So we're gonna take a little bit of rest. The one thing that I saw then, and the one thing that we're gonna try and get out of, is completely relaxing that bar on the floor. So as we come down, our job after to do that touchdown clean is to keep that tension in your hands. If we relax, we lose that position. We use the weight as a little bit of a counterweight to keep that chest up a little bit higher, keep everything in the right position, okay? So we're just gonna go for 1 rep now. We're gonna slowly start to do maybe 2 or 3 more sets, and then we'll build as we go on, okay? So we got 10 seconds before the next rep. At your own pace, try and think about making sure that we're putting everything together. Good, bring it back down to there, hold, all the way to the hold, chest hold, nice and controlled, and jump and catch. Nice. If you want to chuck a little bit more weight on, feel free. If you want to have a couple more sets at this, we've probably got maybe like another 5 or 6 sets left. So if you want to slowly start to build up, fine by me. You keep that weight on for the time being, Steve. We'll have a little bit of a look. Everything's moving really well. The only thing that I would say is that first rep, you're coming into that clean. It's that pull to then, make sense? But yeah, they're moving smooth. This is going to be something that we start to just slowly build in. So as we're coming down into that clean, we're almost, do it as if you was, all the way down. See how we're coming into like an RDL position? Relax there. Try and think about getting a little bit more knee bend as well. So it's almost like we're doing a semi-squat, semi-hinge, as opposed to an RDL. Make sense? Perfect. So we'll do 1 more set, and then we'll set a timer for 10 minutes. Build up, rip the tits off it, as you will, and see where we can get to. Nice, controlled and technical. Much better, team. Real good position. Nice, team. Here we go. Now, what we're going to be looking at, we'll do 1 more rep as a group. I know I keep saying 1 more, but I want us to take that first initial pull out of it, and we're going to pull from the floor. So Will, you're going to give a demo. It's always good to have someone that moves better than you. Rather than doing the clean pull to touchdown clean, we are going to get set. So come into this position right at the very bottom. You're going to keep that slow pull in place, and then you're just going to clean. So nice slow pull and clean. I'm going to set a 10-minute timer. If I know this, it will be on there. If not, I will do a running clock and shout at various points in time. But the goal here is to build up to a technical max. If you feel like shit's hitting the fan and you're like, oh, I just about made that, let's chuck 5 kilo on, not the purpose of the task. The purpose of the task is to take what we've just built from a technique standpoint into what we're lifting. So get your next weight set on the bar for whatever jump that you're going to go. and then we will start the timer. If it didn't go to plan, you can readjust, go up when you need to. The goal isn't to rush through this, the goal is for quality, okay? Bro. Nice, Dean. Chuck a 10 on for me, okay? 5's off, 10 on. That looks really nice. This is the fun part, isn't it? So all you're thinking is trying to get nice and aggressive and pull that bar where we want it as well, okay? Pop the 5's off for me a minute. We'll build it. We'll do a couple more reps where we just work on that speed under it, okay? So what we're looking at is you're rushing those positions now. So as we pull from the floor, control and then go, okay? Jump, there we go, good, and relax, okay? All I will say on these for you, right, is trying to speed that point at which we jump up, because you're like, so it's just there, rather than going all the way, pulling with your arms nice and early, so just relax it in, pop a 5 on, you'll get that up, okay? We're coming into this position, wherever we catch, if we catch here, get used to going into that bottom position, that will force you in there then. We're revving it up, big dog. Nice, Lloyd. Yeah, we got that. Oh. Nice, Dean. Mate, they're looking really good. Come on then. Up. 2.5 on. 2.5. Come on then, Imogen. Let's go. Up. Easy. So, and one of the things that I want us to potentially be aware of, there's normally a tipping point with weightlifting where you put a certain number on that bar. Maybe it's a PB, maybe it's something that you've done once, but the technique wasn't the best. We don't need to push to that point. That would be like every single time coming into the gym thinking you need to be at a 1 rep max on back squat. That's not the goal. The goal of this is to build and develop technical capacity, explosive power. That doesn't need to be done at a maximal weight. That doesn't need to be done at 100% your 1 rep max. That can be done with certain variations that constrain the load to a point where 35 kilos may be an expression of your true max output on that given exercise. So there are multiple different things that we can work on throughout this, and there's certain things that we'll start to drill in. What I will say is, well done to everyone there. You came in, you tried something maybe new, something that you've not really done before, and you've pushed yourself to a maximal capacity in a group of people that some have done it, some haven't. So I really, really appreciate that stuff.
Yeah.